Yo.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It's time for Coffee Ann on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. It is Wednesday. It's April 17th. I'm Joe Callahan. We'll say hi to Tim Draper. Good morning to you there, Tim.
Howdy, Joe. Howdy, John.
And we'll say hi to John Ward as well. Hi, John.
Good morning, everyone.
And this portion of the Coffee Ann program is sponsored by the St. Antoine Communities. And Melissa is not here. She is doing the good mom thing.
The good mom thing.
Yes, taking her children looking around at colleges.
I remember going on those college tours as
That's
well.
what you do when you have a junior in high school.
That is correct.
On April vacation, and
Right.
all the colleges know it, and they plan it for this week. So she's making the rounds.
If my spouse went to Holy Cross, it was a
What a
big week at
fine-
Holy Cross. I think my kids
What
would
a
go to
fine mom.
Yes, she's
Fine
doing-
mom. Good. I wonder if she's listening. She listen on the interwebs.
She shouldn't. she,
Totally should be listening.
She should be out at the schools. Well, it's kind of early, so
Yeah.
maybe she is. You never know.
Maybe
right?
they're providing free breakfast.
Some did.
I
Some
like
did. I
the,
remember going to those.
I like the way they must have special training for the students who are giving tours of campuses. The walking backwards class.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
They all walk backwards.
Oh,
they
yeah.
all walk backwards as they talk. And these buildings
they
right
can-
here around you are.
Does anyone have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
For the St. Antoine Communities, the ultimate in assisted living, give them a call, 767, I just lost the number. It's all going to come back to me in just a minute here.
That's right. Listen, all you got to know is
767-3500.
they have a continuum of care
Continuum of care. All right, so thank you.
across the board.
So to start things off, if you're a Boston Bruins fan, you found out last night the longtime play-by-play announcer on Nesson, Jack Edwards, is retiring
Yeah.
at the end of this year.
He does not look that old.
He is 67.
Wow. Young man.
And
man.
he's been doing this for the last 19 years. The problem is, if you've watched the games, especially this year, everyone has seemed to have noticed there's something wrong. Something's going on
Well, with Jack.
with Jack.
Some health issues.
Slurring his words a lot.
Yeah.
And having trouble coming up with the words he wants to say.
He must be running for president.
So he's actually come out and said, well, he's been checked. Did he? And it's been proven he did not have a stroke. That was
Yeah.
one of the first
Okay.
concerns. He did not have one, but he goes to see a speech pathologist to help him out, and he goes to see a neurologist, and they just can't figure out something is going on. We just can't figure out what it is,
Yeah.
and it's not getting really any better. So he's the Bruins go into the playoffs now, and he will do the playoff games until the network takes over.
Yeah.
And then that'll be it.
Wow.
I have to tell you, and I'm certainly not a doctor, and I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. And I've never even played one on a TV show. But you know what this reminds me of? I was watching Cheryl Atkinson, who does a syndicated show on Sunday mornings, and she did interviews with doctors about long COVID and some of the other problems that are popping up around, among physicians and stuff. And some of the problems even that they've discovered these weird things after people die and they're doing the autopsies and they're finding things in their veins and stuff. It's really ridiculously gross and weird. But the fact is, there's so many different problems that people are having that they're attributing to what's being characterized as long COVID, which is that, yeah, you're healthy, but you're not healthy.
Yeah.
You're healthy, but something else happens.
Right.
And it's one of those things that makes me think everything that
Could
comes
be.
up now, can you trace it back
Do your COVID
to
shots?
having COVID or having the shots?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly which one it is, whether it's the disease or the cure.
Mm-hmm.
But there seems to be problems with both in the long term.
Okay. Jack has worked at the AB, a couple of stations in Boston. He also worked at ESPN, and he's one of the guys that did. Remember, ESPN used to do the really funny commercials with different
Yes.
sports
Yep.
characters, and one of the funniest ones they ever did, and it was with Jack Edwards. ESPN offices, 2:00, 8:57 in the morning.
Yeah. Drinking a coffee.
Yeah, here comes Jack with a paper up to the copy machine, and there's Roger Clemens in his pinstripes. He was with the Yankees at the time, and Roger's making copies of 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper with giant K's on them. and they just say, good morning, and that's all you can see is the papers coming out with the K's, and Roger just looks at Jack and goes, I'm going to be here a while. He's oh, okay, and he walks. I'll come back later. I said, "Oh, that was good." All right, so John, on the front page of today's Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times, it says,
Oh boy.
"Hang on."
Dun, dun, dun.
The headline: Council puts brakes on Cass Park project.
You mean they didn't make the headline the fact that Trump's falling asleep in court?
No, that's a little later on. Well,
That's below the fold.
it's
Council puts the brakes
It's
on.
dull, in that jury selection. So anyway, but then you read in the first paragraph about how you tabled it.
I tried to read that online this morning and it wasn't available, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. No, that's fine.
All right.
All I need is a headline. That
There's
tells
the
me
headline.
everything I need to know.
All right. It sounds like you said
We tabled it.
like
We
you've
tabled
killed
it
it, but you haven't.
No. As a matter of fact, I tried contacting the solicitor this morning to suggest that they put this resolution back on a meeting agenda for a special meeting Monday, because we're going to have one because the planning director is doing all kinds of presentations to the council. And I want to meet with a couple of departments that the council has some jurisdiction over, the library board representatives and the board of canvassers manager, to talk about what their budget proposals are. So when the mayor sends us the budget, we'll have a sense of what their requests or needs are. So I'm going to ask that this resolution be put back on the agenda, because I had asked simply because we were not going to support the food hub that was going to go at 330 Social Street, because we didn't want to sign a 15-year mortgage for a $3 million grant, that the building is available. It's not in terribly bad shape. It's 7,500 square feet. It's already built. All it would need is renovations.
Mm-hmm.
It's on 1.1 acres of land. It's got plenty of parking space, and it could be easily converted from what was originally a car dealership into offices and instructional areas and such. And 7,500 square feet is a good amount of space, and we could still use money for let's say that would be for the adult services programs, and then the juvenile services programs or student-based services could be done still at a smaller footprint, freshly built building at the Cass Park site. And I was simply frustrated by the fact that the state had said previously, no, you can't
do
change the
that.
location.
At
It's
all
locked.
under any
It's locked.
circumstances, it's locked.
So I got into a little tiff with the state people, and I
Yeah.
got a little out of line. I can't imagine you could ever see that happening, but
Not you, John.
I was rather impatient, and I apologized for it to them, and I apologized again yesterday to the woman that called me. But the mayor said
From the
he would
state?
call the governor. Yes, the
Oh,
mayor
okay.
said he would call the governor's office and ask about this because of this possibility, and that I was frustrated about not being able to pivot to something more available and possibly more effective or different. So he did, and they told him, sorry, it goes to Treasury, and when Treasury approves it, it's done. It's non-negotiable at that
It's in
point.
stone at that
It's in
point?
stone.
Which Treasury? Rhode Island Treasury? Or
Well, I think
federal
it's
Treasury?
U.S. Treasury, actually. I think because it's ARPA funds for the state, they have to file their things with the U.S. Treasury, some department in Treasury that's handling the ARPA funds and managing it. So they have to file there. They get the answer that's it's done, it's approved, and it's approved as is. And so she called me yesterday, and we had a nice conversation, and she just said, "Oh, that's the way the system works. It's approved, and once it's approved, it is fixed in what it is set up for." Now, I know Councilman Gendron took strong exception, and will probably continue to do so. I object, but I keep in mind that I looked at the documentation, and it's a 5-year commitment to do the things that you're proposing to do inside there as a community center. So I will probably approve this for the architect to build such a structure, but it will be with my thought that, well, 5 years down the road, we can do whatever we want with it. And so we can pivot then and transition to something else and some other arrangement. And in the meanwhile, probably look to sell off the 330 Social Street property again that was unnecessarily purchased and try to get it back on the tax rolls.
But in 5 years, that land on Social Street may be sold.
No, I don't disagree. it'll likely be sold. I hope it would be sold so we can get it back on the tax rolls and get the money back into ARPA to use in other places. But that there are always possibilities. You know, we also own a building on 181 Social Street on Cumberland Street that we probably should never have taken ownership of. And when the public safety facility, fire station combination with some police input into a building, and a police station maybe gets renovated through the grants we have available for that, it's possible the water department's garage and office structure gets built. The people working on 181 Cumberland Street can be moved out of that building and it becomes a vacant building. It too could be considered, and that will be a couple of years, 3 years down the road. It then could be possibly considered to move the community center services, if we choose to that location, or the agencies providing the services could come up with alternative options. But that is a possibility, and I just hate walking away from possible solutions and because something is frozen and can't be touched, and I get frustrated with that. You know, one of the things, and well, you know, you work in private industry that says you need to be able to pivot on a moment's notice when something, some other possibility comes up, and to
or a better
alternative.
I mean,
to access funds that are so restrictive that nothing can be done to change it, puts you in the risk situation of that never happening.
Well, the other thing that's crazy to me is you've got they made everybody decide what to do with their ARPA funds, right? So you have to go through the process, and then you have to get it approved, and then it becomes cast in stone at that point in time. But the reality is, maybe you were forced into trying to make a decision that at that time seemed to be the right decision, but 2 years removed, 3 years removed, you're going, you know what? It doesn't make sense what they said or where it is. It should be here. This makes more sense.
Well, here's the political backstory in this case. In fact, this was actually intended to go where the Quonset huts are, and Head Start operates out of, that are up at the top of the hill near Reno Field, that the former mayor was proposing, without the knowledge of anybody except Mr. Luba, Mr. DeBrois, the mayor, and a few other people that maybe got a phone call in these agencies. And so they made all of these grand plans and applied for this grant with no knowledge of the council, no input, no discussion. And that flew apart when the mayor mentioned and had the planning director go out and inspect the facilities out there, because the city had a garage there that had to get torn down. And he came to the council and was talking about how they're in such terrible violation of this, that, and the other thing, and they need to go. And it's like, okay, so where are they going? And there was no answer. So that got very heated and frustrating, and because there was no place for them to go, I guess the then mayor decided that we're going to put this community center, again, all the council ever saw at this point was a square on a map. No plan, no documentation, no spatial planning, nothing. So then all of a sudden, she's out. A new map is drawn of the Cass Park facility by Director D'Agostino and the engineers, and I'm shown that one, and it's got a new big block at the end of the track into the parking lot, and it's like, okay, we have a new square. It's actually a rectangle at that point, and that's where the community center is going to go. Okay, what's in it? Well, here's the 14-page application plan we sent in, and I shared it with the council, and it's like all this gibberish about programs that should be going on currently elsewhere around the city, and it makes seniors, instead of getting services for diabetes checks and heart blood pressure and all those other things that you would do in a senior center, and exercise programs and weight control trainings and stuff like that, and it moves them to a community center. But these people already go to the senior center, and I scratch my head and I say, why are we doing this? Thunder Mist doing some sort of screenings for things, or doing some opioid counseling, which is never going to happen. At that center instead of at their headquarters on Clinton Street. Every one of these programs is something that should be going on somewhere else, or maybe already is. And now we're going to move it into a community center just so we can get $5.4 million so we can put the high school clubhouse for the field there as part of it.
All right, we're going to take a break right there, and more coming up, and John might have more to say about it. And this segment of the Coffee and Program sponsored by the St. Antoine Communities, the ultimate in assisted living and excellence in nursing and rehabilitative care. Give them a call for a tour, 767-3500. Ask for Melissa Smith. That's what she does over there at the St. Antoine Communities, although she's not there today. So maybe you want to call next week when she comes back from visiting different colleges. All right, 766-1240 for comments and questions on the Coffee and Program.
One of our gold medal winners in the best of the Blackstone Valley is Marshan Environmental of Blackstone. They won gold in the category of septic service. They also won silver in the junk removal dumpsters category. For information, visit marshanenvironmental.com, one of the best of the Blackstone Valley. The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores. The third annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair will be happening on Saturday, April 20th from 9 a.m. to noontime. The fair will be held at the Woonsocket Elks Hall, 380 Social Street, Woonsocket. It's free admission to visit the over 20 vendors that will be in attendance. Some of the vendors in attendance will be Oak Street Health, Pappas OPT, Pace of Rhode Island, Seven Hills, and United Healthcare. Come by and visit with Manny and Virginia Brandow and Gary Smith and the Do You Remember crew. We hope to see you at the third annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair, Saturday, April 20th at the Elks Hall on Social Street from 9 to noon.
ON Radio.
Coffee and on ON. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Tim Draper and John Ward. And John, according to your council wrap-up report that we aired yesterday, you talked about the council members having a lively discussion. And what?
Yes, I did.
Yes, and
lively
so
experiment?
not a lively experiment. It was a lively discussion before you broke up at 8:55.
Well, that was just me causing trouble.
Okay.
That's what I do.
And what was it about?
No, it wasn't trying. I wasn't trying to cause trouble. We had gotten a final report from the public works director about the sale of gravel at Cass Park, and I got a sense when I drive by there or I drive by Roy Avenue where they're doing building that the contractor who was removing the gravel was still at the site doing work, even though he said they had finished with selling gravel in February report. And so I asked for a copy of their vendor history so I could see what bills were paid to them. And I asked for a copy of the fund activity for the funds that are being charged to do this work. And sure enough, I found that it was understated by something over $400,000. So the $1 million of profit, so to speak, actually is something closer to between $400,000 and $500,000. And of that, we've already spent over $100,000 removing Hokong Restaurant and removing the garage at the top of the hill. And we've spent thousands of dollars. I don't know if I forgot the exact amount on the engineering firm that's done some work already on site assessment and things. And so, and I failed to even mention it Monday night, but the city has had an employee in a trailer handing out those receipts for the people buying the gravel. So there's been somebody there every day for the last year and change working at the trailer, and they didn't charge any of the payroll to that cost center. So I brought this up, and the director got rather upset about it, and it became a lively discussion.
Okay.
And I was simply trying to point out that I was attempting to not, as the previous mayor had done so often, mislead the public into thinking something, because she went there talking about, this is going to pay for the whole thing, and I knew it wasn't, and I challenged it, and I got ridiculed and mocked because, I was the minority guy, and you don't know what you're talking about, and you didn't know what you were doing in Lincoln. That's why you got screwed, and all kinds of nasty stuff. And it was gibberish. And so I'm just trying to bring out facts. We don't have $1 million. We've got, if anything, because they're still working on drainage because of the exposure of the hill coming out of there, it means that the water coming off the ledge underneath on the top flows faster, doesn't get absorbed into what was the hill that was there and the tree roots, and so it's flowing out of there, and it was moving dirt into Sylvester's Pond, and DEM said, no, you can't do this. Fix it. And the fix, because it was caused by taking out the gravel, to me is part of the cost of removing the gravel. So all the costs that they've been putting in since February for drainage and finishing the hill up is part of that cost, and none of it's been recorded yet. So we still have to deal with those costs. So I'm saying, yeah, we're going to take in $1.4 million, but we're not going to have leftovers to spend on the complex, and that's fine. It is what it is. It did the site preparation to do a construction in the way that some people objected to. They thought it should have been done another way. I had an idea about how to do it, and it didn't involve taking out the hill, but that was a long time ago. And so here we are, and he got upset. That's me.
Everybody looking at their phones. What the hell happened?
He got upset, and it became a little heated, and then Councilman Gendron got after him for basically, not after him, more about the prior mayor and the perpetual cacophony of lies that came out of her about the press conferences and how pretty things are. And I mean, if I ever read to the public what she put out in 2017 about Cass Park and how they weren't going to disturb the natural areas, and they were still going to have little trees going to be there, and they don't want to disturb it. And it's enough to make you want to throw up when you think about what actually happened to the place. Virtually every tree was taken out, but it got a little heated.
Okay.
I'm not going to say in the report to you that it got heated. I'm just going to say it was a lively.
It got lively.
Let me put it this way. I invite people to simply go watch it.
Yeah.
It's on the YouTube channel. They can go watch and listen, and they can decide for themselves the outcome of the discussion.
All right. Moving on to other things. Tim, we had a story. I know it involves Massachusetts, but you can tailor it towards Rhode Island. Median sale price for single-family homes in Mass, $610,000. It's got to be somewhere near there in Rhode Island, too. Are you seeing at Navigant a drop in people either applying for mortgages because they just can't afford these homes?
Well, yeah, I think it's an inventory issue. There's still a lot of pressure out there for trying to find a house. It's the springtime, so there'll be a lot of new inventory, I think, that'll pop up. But that's generally people either, rearranging the chairs on the Titanic and moving them to a different location, right? They're either going to get into going from a big house to a little house, or from a little house to a big house. It still makes it difficult for the first-time home buyer to get out there and buy their first house. Yeah. Because the prices are just so high right now. We talk about interest rates. I want to say they're hovering around 6 or 7% right now. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's around where they're at. But we like to think that those are temporary, and even though they may be that way for another 12 months, eventually they should settle back down to somewhere in the 4 to 5% range, which is what everybody I think thinks is normal.
Okay.
For interest rates. So if you do find a house that you really like, we always tell people to go out and find it. But the value of houses, because inventory is short, the prices go up. And people are getting the money for houses that really are not, unfortunately, I don't think worth sometimes what people pay for them, because they're going to have to go in and then spend another $150,000 to fix a 1960s mid-century modern ranch. To bring it up to current standards and make it what they want. And for some people, that's okay, because they're coming out of a big colonial they paid off, and they spent $700,000 or made $700,000 or $800,000 on, so you can do that. But when you do that, you take that starter home off the inventory for the first-time home buyer, and it makes it more difficult for them.
Did you say 50 or 60?
For what?
To get it upgraded to the...
Oh, no, 150.
Oh, okay.
To 2.
I want to make sure
in
you
some
weren't
cases,
saying 50 or 60.
No, 150 to 2 in
50
some
or
cases.
60 is what you'd pay 20 years ago.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, that's the reality, is that's what people are doing. They're coming in and the home, every TV show that shows how to make your house look beautiful, and flip and flop and all those other things. I mean, it's just people get in these houses and then they just spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make the house what they want. And that's perfectly fine. if you can do that. But it does have impact down the channel.
I was fascinated. We were just watching. My wife loves watching HGTV, of course, and we were just watching the conclusion of Rock the Block that they do.
That's a new one. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you haven't seen Rock the Block? It's cool. What they do is they take these houses, they frame them up, and they're bare.
Yep.
And then they have segments of the house that these people that work on different TV shows on HGTV come in as teams, and they design and they build out the rest of the house.
Yeah.
And much of it involves demolition of walls and things that they restructure the whole thing. But what drove us crazy is last night we were watching the end, and they were doing this little area that was a space plus a bathroom, and one of the teams had $8,000 left in their budget, and it's like, wait a minute. I couldn't build out a bathroom for $8,000. They did a bathroom and they put in a desk and some sort of other stuff out in the room, and they wallpapered and they put. It's like, that's nuts. How do they do that for $8,000?
Right.
Makes no sense to me.
Right. It's
Because
sponsors.
It is
Sponsors,
hugely expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they'll like Maine Cabin Masters is one of my favorite shows. I love that show. They go in this team, this bunch of friends that own this company in Maine. They go into the old rundown cabins that are around the lakes in Maine, and they'll talk to the owner, and there's usually a story behind the cabin. It's been in the family for a million years. My grandfather built it, and now it's off level, and it's the inside's small, and there's
Dark and
right. So they'll start outside and go, how long before you'd like to get back in it? Well, we like to have it in 12 weeks. Okay, that's fair. And how much do you have to put into it? $25. Oh, no problem. We'll be out there in no time. And they get out there, and they come back, and it's this beautiful palatial estate that they built. I'm like, how does that happen?
I don't know. All right. So what's in the water here in Rhode Island? We've had two 2-month-old children die in the last week. One in Newport, and now one in Bristol.
That is
And
bizarre.
both with teenage parents. 17-year-old man and 17-year-old boy in Newport. Now a 19-year-old woman in Bristol. She'll be in court today to answer to these charges. I'm like, what is going on?
Didn't the Department of Health say that there's been more infant deaths this year
Yes.
than there have been
Like
in previous years? Like a lot of them.
through the year to date, I think it was through this year to date, there's been more than there were in the entire year of 2017 or
Right.
something like that.
Right. It is frightening.
It is frightening.
And DCYF said an 18-year-old in their care passed away rather
18-year-old,
recently.
yeah.
18-year-old, yeah.
Well,
But because of confidentiality, they don't tell you anything else.
Right.
right.
Other than this person in our care died. Okay, thanks, go away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. I can only think of one reason that would happen. Overdose?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, but they
Suicide?
won't. They won't.
They won't say. We'll
No,
never
no.
find out.
You'll never know. Mm-hmm.
No.
But something.
But there's
something
something
bizarre
going on.
is going on. And,
The question is, if in 6 months to 12 months we hear about an investigation of DCOAF and the fact that there may be some drugs infiltrating their care system, then we'll know what this person died from, if that's what it is. Unless it's something else, they may have had some other kind of disease or
Underlying
something.
health issue.
See, what they don't teach you in child rearing classes, if I remember correctly, the child's going to cry a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
They always show them cute and cuddly and sleeping and this
And
wonderful.
you're not allowed to throw them against
You're
the
not.
wall.
Right.
They don't show you the harrowing stuff.
Right.
During class.
But doesn't that say a lot about? I mean, this is going to be a very general and broad statement, but this seems to be our country. Nobody has patience for anything. Everybody's
maybe that's it.
everybody's short and younger people just have
Intolerance.
no tolerance for anything. And then they find themselves in positions that they don't know how to get themselves out of. And
I think this is where, if you study this, you would, if you did a real scientific study, and it's just, I'm guessing, but if you did a real scientific study, you would find that it is the extremists on both ends that are that way, and their voice is getting ridiculously amplified by social media that's getting picked up by media and amplified once again, and so you hear about things that otherwise you never would have heard about 50 years ago.
right.
All right, break time once again here on the Coffee and program, and time for the weather forecast being brought to you by True Green.
Today we will have increasing clouds with a high temperature near 64, with a light northeast wind around 5 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy skies, slight chance of some showers, low temperature around 43. Thursday's weather, cloudy skies, and a high temperature near 51. Thursday night, mostly cloudy, low temperature around 41. Friday, mostly cloudy, high near 57. Saturday, partly sunny, high near 65. Sunday, mostly sunny, high near 59.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, sunny skies and 54 degrees. If you want a great-looking lawn, contact True Green today. All you have to do is water and mow. Sign up by April 20th to get one application free with an annual plan. Restrictions apply.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate. Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The 3rd annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair will be happening on Saturday, April 20th from 9 a.m. to noontime. The fair will be held at the Woonsocket Elks Hall, 380 Social Street, Woonsocket. It's free admission to visit the over 20 vendors that will be in attendance. Some of the vendors in attendance will be Visiting Angels of Rhode Island, Aldersbridge Communities, Blackstone Prevention Coalition, Crossroads Real Estate Group, and Chapel Hill Senior Living. Come by and visit with Manny and Virginia Brandow and Gary Smith and the Do You Remember crew. We hope to see you at the 3rd annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair, Saturday, April 20th at the Elks Hall on Social Street from 9 to noon.
It is Coffee In here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan. John Ward is here. And I forgot who I was. And Tim Draper's here as well. And Tim, time for a first message from Navigant Credit Union.
Right, Joe, really simple, and it's a repeat of last week, and that is we're still seeing text messages being sent to people in the community from Navigant Credit Union. It looks like it's from Navigant Credit Union,
really?
Asking them to click here for some problem they've had with their account. Please know that we are never, ever, ever going to send you a text asking you to input information in unsolicited. If you call us and say you want some information, we might do that. But out of the blue, if you're getting a text from us, just ignore it. Same thing with our friends in the Big Green Building in Johnston. I got one of theirs yesterday too. So I think it's probably a scam that's going around hitting all financial institutions, or many of them right now. So while we are specific, I'm telling you specifically about Navigant and not sending any texts. Be very cautious of what you see from any other financial institution as well. Folks, it's all about trying to avoid exploitation. We had a gentleman in last week. It took 3 different branches to try to get him to not take the money out. He went for one, we said no. He went to another one. They said no. Went to another branch. The other branch stalled him long enough to get law enforcement involved. and then they came in and really talked the gentleman into understanding that he's getting scammed and he's going to lose his money if he does this, to the point where he finally gave in and didn't take the money out, understood what was going on, and was extremely grateful for the intervention that we provided. Although he was not happy when he left the first 2 branches without
Oh, I bet
money.
not.
So,
But boy,
but the reality is, we are trained to be looking for that kind of stuff. And there'll be a lot of questions we ask. There'll be a lot of probably personal information that we're asking you for. And it's not because we're interested in your private life. We're interested in you not losing your money. And that's really what it's all about. So Navigant Credit Union, navigancu.org is the website. If you think you're in a jam, I would always say call your local law enforcement first. But if you want to call us, we're certainly there to help as well at 233-4700. So please do that.
all right. Was he looking to take out like over $10,000?
15, I think, was the number. Yeah. And then he went down.
That's a real red
15,
flag.
didn't get there. 15, came back, tried to get 8, I
Yeah.
think. They
And
wouldn't
then
give me
still-
8. Then he came back and tried to get 5. But by that point, we'd put notes in the system that this gentleman
this
was
is coming
kind of-
around.
We think he's getting scammed, to be on the lookout.
Bolo, doing bolos in the
Well,
bank
right.
system.
Be on the
Right.
lookout for us.
Be on the lookout. So,
How long did it take for the law enforcement to convince him that
I
this is a
don't
this
know.
is
I
a
just know that the
scam?
end of the story was that
Yeah.
that they were able to engage.
Yeah.
And he was grateful. I mean, yeah, he was mad at first, but I think
Mm-hmm.
in the end, he understood that we're just we see too many people who don't give us the signal, right? Don't have any of those classic signs of being scammed.
Yeah.
Take out a bunch of money, then come back and go, well, I sent this check to Nigeria and now I don't have any more money. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. Not much we can do, unfortunately,
Not
about
now,
that at
yeah.
that point.
Wow. Well, okay then. Well, I was a little surprised that about the amount of money that Scott Avedizian is going to receive.
You were surprised?
I
not.
thought it was low.
I thought it'd be more.
Right.
R-
No,
right.
Okay. That.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
way,
I thought it
yes.
would be a lot more.
I suspected it would have
I'm like-
been more, but
I
not
was
so.
expecting something that he would be paid for the rest of this year, and then get something else for terms of years of service and blah blah blah.
I
But
guess-
only 60. He's getting paid for the. I guess he's getting paid for the rest of this year. $67,800.
That's vacation buyout.
That's 13 weeks. Well, they're giving him 13 weeks of pay plus unused vacation time. So I guess he's not being paid out through the rest of the year, and no RIPTA pension.
If you don't earn
I'm like, wow.
eligibility, or
But he's been there for how many years?
7, I thought.
I wonder how long you have to be there before you.
probably 10.
Okay, and so he doesn't get that. I'm like, wow. I thought for sure it would be over $100,000.
The hazards of quasi-public corporations. They don't go by the state system.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice little chunk of change to get right off the bat here, but it's
Got to
certainly
find
not.
another job because he's
It's
not an
certainly
old
not
man.
enough.
How old is he?
57, isn't he? 57.
I didn't think he
He's
was
my
that
age.
young.
Yeah.
I thought he was,
He might be a little older
I
than
thought
me.
he was older than that.
He's between 57 and 59, so he's right in there. So
I'm between 57.
Such a young man.
Right in the middle.
but what could he? I mean, he was mayor.
Yeah,
I guess he could run for mayor again.
sure could. Yeah.
Oh yeah, after this happened, right?
I didn't say he's going to win.
Oh.
I said
could run.
He could run. And do people? Buddy Sansi ran for governor. Ran for mayor. Was always hired back.
Scott Avedizian's not.
No,
Buddy
he's no Buddy
Sansi.
Sansi.
No.
Oh, he is from Warwick.
From the mayor's office. Oh, okay. Well, all right. So he's
There you
getting
go.
some money there. So
Something.
all right, he's gonna. Melissa says he's gonna be okay, and we shouldn't worry about it.
Like Melissa, she's always got the
Oh,
positive side.
okay. So we don't have to worry about it.
I'm not worried about him.
No, he'll find a job.
He'll find something.
You think someone
He's
will
got
hire
a
him?
lot of connections.
Yeah.
Scott's
so,
well connected,
okay.
and he's actually a nice guy. He just got jammed
Is
up.
he gonna get a job at the state house?
I don't think so.
No.
A political hack?
No, I don't know if it'd be politics. I think he could find a job in the private sector. I'm sure he's
Yeah?
got plenty of connections.
Well, I'm sure he does.
Speaking of
Yeah.
going from government to private sector, I find this fascinating, and it's all really related to COVID, and it has to do with the fact that I was just texting with the finance director in Smithfield saying that the engineer for the town of Smithfield left, and I said, "Really? Who recruited the person away?" Private industry. And what I'm finding is it used to be government oftentimes was where people went when they thought they had reached a threshold in private industry at a level they weren't seeing promotion or enough money, and they wanted the benefits that came in working in government,
perks.
and they wanted
pension.
lower pay generally,
Yeah.
but it was always much better benefits and much better flexibility, so they'd go into government.
More security too.
Now,
Would you say more security?
more security too.
Okay.
Now,
way
everybody's
around.
leaving government because private industry is recruiting them out.
When they're paying a lot more. in
Because there's
private
such a
industry.
small pool of workers to choose from, and you wonder why it's such a tough time getting people to work in government. It's because it used to be there was always somebody coming up that was available and becoming available, and now it's the other way around. It's like there's nobody coming up, and private industry's taking them out of government.
Yeah.
It's backwards. And it does make it challenging to try to run a government when you have trouble recruiting, because people are being recruited out of government into private industry. That's very.
Money talks, right?
It does. And it's part of that is to do with the fact that the government benefits programs have been getting thinned out a little bit so that they're more comparable. They're still better than private industry generally, and there is more security. But the benefit packages tend to be a bit less appealing than they may have been in the past. And so private industry is better able to compete in that realm, and then money talks. But you're talking differentials, I think, sometimes of 10, 15, 20% of pay
Yeah.
above what they're making in government, and government struggles to pay the bill, and so they leave.
And private sector businesses, at least they were doing it, sign-on bonuses.
There's that too.
You know, here's $5,000 just to start working here.
I kid, but I remember back in the 80s, my brother, when he was in the Navy, the first re-up he came up against, and they wanted to keep him because he was doing a job they wanted to keep somebody in instead of having to bring another guy up to train. He was doing, he was reactor tender at a submarine, and it's not like they get those people every day. so they offered him like $20,000 re-sign bonus to re-up in the Navy. And now my son's in the Navy, he's a PA, and it's like, are you going to stay in? He's got 13, 14 years in. And I'm thinking when he goes, when it's time for him to be considered for signing on again for another tour, how much they're going to offer him in a bonus because they're having so much trouble recruiting in the all-volunteer named military that's up there these days. What's that going to be worth? Should be phenomenal based on, but that's the problem. And then when you go through that kind of competition, if you're the government going through that competition, and you say, we need to pay all this money, and of course people who have been in the job not paying that much money because it's basically old guard and what they've been making right along, they get frustrated because taxes have to go up, and they say, why are you paying so much? It's like, have you seen what we're competing with to try to find help? It gets tough.
Sure does.
So it is interesting, and that's why when you mention that thing, it's the recruitment stuff is challenging, to say the least.
Two CVS pharmacies in the southern part of the state, in Wakefield and Westerly, they want to unionize. The pharmacy workers do. They want to join the Pharmacy Guild, and they've petitioned the National Labor Relations Board.
So how come? I'm surprised that it's not all or nothing. That you can do individual stores
just-
and say,
Yeah.
the pharmacists in this store want to unionize. So there's probably 2 or 3 of them in a store.
It just says pharmacy workers, so not just the
Oh, so
pharmacists,
sure
but the
that's
other people that
cashiers
are around
and-
there.
Yeah, right. Techs.
CVS says the company respects the employee's right to seek unionization, but maintains the direct approach will resolve workplace issues. It just makes you wonder what will it do to the prices
You wonder
down
what,
there?
I wonder what the in order for employees to want to unionize, something's got to be going on in the background. Now I know that the unions are pretty good about recruiting, but is there something going on in the store that's really ticking them off, and they feel the only protection that they have is a union? I'm looking at John because I know he wants to say.
My tongue is firmly bitten on this one. I've got a lot to
Okay.
say that I won't say.
Okay.
All right, come out of it.
CVS also has announced they will award millions of dollars in bonuses to recognize pharmacists and technicians this year. And they're working to improve training and increase recruitment.
I think it is. I'll simply say this: much of what they and so many other companies are going through, and much of what this country is still going through, is the transition from the pre-COVID to the post-COVID economy and how it operates.
Yep.
Okay. Tim, time for a second message, please, from
Yeah.
Navigant Credit Union.
Thanks, Joe. We were talking earlier in the show about mortgages and about, getting a house and buying a house and stuff like that. One of the issues that we run into from time to time is that, folks may have had a bad run of it at some point in their lives, maybe back in 2008 through 10. You've got an imperfect financial track record that makes home ownership a bit of a challenge for you. We will invest in your dream and work with you, even if you have a low credit score or have had a foreclosure or short sale. So our New Beginnings mortgage product, right? It's a low down payment loan. It's a fixed rate with the low interest rate, low closing costs, and consideration if you are 2 years from a prior foreclosure or short sale. So you've got to have a little bit of time from when that event took place in your life. But we certainly can help with that, purchasing a home through our New Beginnings mortgage product. There's a few other considerations that you'll want to walk through with our team. But if you're in that situation and you want to learn more about a chance that you might be able to get into a new home, then please feel free to give us a call, 233-4700, and ask for somebody on our mortgage lending team. One of our originators, either Ross, Freddie, Joel, Lee, Deb, Olga. There's a whole bunch of them that do really good work out there in the communities, and I know that they'll work hard for you if you're looking to get into that home, even if you've had a little bit of trouble. So, again, 233-4700 or www.navigantcu.org, and you can go to the mortgage lending session to learn more about it.
All right, Tim, thanks. And more Coffee Hands coming up. Please stay tuned.
When it comes to emergency service for plumbing and heating, you can't beat C.J. Nemus, 37 Corey Street in Woonsocket. C.J. Nemus offers over 15 years of experience and is licensed in both Rhode Island and Massachusetts. C.J. Nemus offers complete heating system service, plumbing, water heaters, plus drain and sewer cleaning. Remember that senior citizens receive a 10% discount. So give Charlie a call today at C.J. Nemus, 769-4776. They're registered with the Better Business Bureau. They're a master plumber with quality service. It's the only way and the best way. With C.J. Nemus, call today, 769-4776 for C.J. Nemus.
The St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center presents the 14th annual Breakfast with the Saints on Sunday, April 28th from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Enjoy a delicious breakfast buffet under the magnificent frescoes of the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center. Tickets are $20 in advance or $25 at the door and are available at Belos Flowers, Creative Impressions, The Honey Shop, Timeless Antiques, Vos True Value Hardware. Visit the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center website, or to reserve a table, call 401-486-9380.
Hey, it's ON Radio's Cruisin' Bruce Palmer, and I'd love to have you join me every Saturday for the Saturday Block Party. We start at 4 o'clock when I open up the ON Music Vault for you to pick whatever you want to hear or send to somebody special. Yes, the good old radio request days are back. Join me for the Saturday Block Party, Saturdays from 4 until 7 on ON Radio and streaming online at Woonsocketradio.com.
Thanks, Bruce. It is Coffee In on ON. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Tim Draper and John Ward. And not only is Donald Trump going through a trial where they're selecting jurors, and he's falling asleep, but it is rather dull.
They got,
that process,
chastised apparently for mumbling while they were being
while he was sleeping.
questioned by the judge, because it sounded like he was sort of commenting under his breath about the jurors that were being questioned, and he was told to shut up.
All right. Well, up in Massachusetts, the Karen Reed jury selection process is going on. Yeah. They're looking for 16 people up there. They have found 4 so far that are on the jury, and I'm just fascinated by this.
Somebody said that story is really fascinating.
It is incredibly fascinating because the prosecutors say she ran over her cop boyfriend with their SUV,
right?
And she's saying, no, I dropped him off. And he went at this house in Canton, Massachusetts, that belongs to another Boston cop. Yeah. And he got beat up in there, and they left it, and they threw him out on the lawn.
Because he had bruises all over his body, right? In places that if you get hit by a car, you weren't going to have a bruise.
Yeah, it would tend to be limited to one side of your body, one part of your body.
Yeah. Right. So it's fascinating.
Front, back, up, down.
Right. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Yeah, and the judge has said there's going to be a 200-foot buffer. So all the protesters have to be behind the buffer line when this whole jury thing, as the whole trial thing is going along. So
Right.
I guess they're having trouble. They're looking for 16 people to be on this jury. They started yesterday, and I guess what do you know about this case? Well, I know a few things, I guess.
Right. Well, if you're local, that's why I was fascinated with jury selection for the Trump thing. How do everybody
know.
on the planet, if you don't know this guy or anything about him, then
Right.
you have been living in a cave somewhere.
Are you even going to understand the testimony if you don't know about this already?
That's exactly.
Yeah, that's
good
gonna
point.
That is a good point. Well, they can't go in with because they always ask, does anyone know the defendant and the plaintiff? And if you did, okay, you're out. Well, everybody knows the president, so we can't
Maybe-
use that question.
Maybe they could pick a jury from Uzbekistan or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fly him over. Do you know anything about this case?
I don't know.
No.
I think those guys
Perfect.
might know about him. But you know what about the Karen Reed case? What's interesting is to
Yep.
me, it's a little like the Alex Murtaugh case down in
Oh, in
Louisiana.
South Carolinas?
Yeah, Louisiana or Carolinas, I forget. He with the family so entrenched in the legal system, and
Right.
everybody knew everybody, and just giant sort of cover up. And the fact that he ended up getting jammed up in the end was really kind of fascinating. There was a Dateline, or one of the news stories did a whole series on. Oh, it might have been like Netflix, I think. Did a 3-part series on the Murtaugh trial, and they just went through it at the very
all you had to
beginning.
do, if you ever watched this new network that used to be WGN out of Chicago, they turned
News
into
Network.
News Nation.
Yeah,
and
News
they
Nation, yeah.
expanded, and they got Ashley Banfield on at 10 o'clock every night, and
Yeah.
it's like trial TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For that trial,
Right.
every day there was part of her show.
Yeah.
There would be discussion of what happened today, what
Yeah.
happened today, what happened today. And now it's what happened with his appeals.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
All right, another ridiculousness going on. A man in Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, is facing charges. He allegedly tried to rob a convenience store with a 5-foot snake around his neck. Reginald Cook initially went into the store 2 a.m. Always good things happen at 2 in the morning.
Always.
And demanded money from the register. The cashier said no, and so he left. And he came back about an hour later with the snake wrapped around his neck. And it doesn't say if he was, I'm threatening you with the snake.
Did he have like
Just-
the head of the snake pointing it at the guy?
I don't
going,
know.
Give me the money.
But he demanded money again. But this time,
I'm gonna venom you.
the clerk grabbed his own gun in self-defense.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
I guess he tripped the
I'll
alarm.
see your snake and raise you
Raise
one
your
gun.
Yeah. Police showed up
I'll
before
shoot you
any
and the snake.
police showed up before any shots were fired, and the man with the snake was arrested.
What's he going to do with a snake to threaten somebody?
I'm gonna bite you.
I'm gonna have it
I'm
bite
gonna have
you.
it. Yeah, my
It's-
trained
it's-
snake.
If the,
Sick
snake,
him.
if the snake's been fed in the
It's-
last 3 days, it's
I know
not
it's
going
not
to do
gonna bite.
anything.
Yeah.
Sick him for Satan. Go.
Well, it's venomous, and if you're not
Oh, yeah.
a snake person, how you gonna know? You
It was
take that
probably a
choice?
boa
Ten-
constrictor,
in
which is
Tennessee?
not venomous.
That's right.
In
I'm gonna
Tennes-
constrict
in
you.
Tennessee, Memphis.
Yeah, I don't know where he's
Memphis
get-
is
I don't
pretty
know
far
where he's
north.
getting
I'm
his
not
snakes.
sure that Memphis, Tennessee, you're going to find a lot of venomous snakes around. No, I don't think so. He probably had a boa,
Yeah.
which is what the classic, the white boas and the boas that
The
people put
yellows,
around
yeah,
their
and
neck.
that's-
And
they hang out
oh
there.
yeah, if you don't do this, I'm going to make them strangle you.
Yeah. We'll see.
Give me 20 minutes or so. We'll get them going.
Some people have they have gut instincts and they think something's going to happen. Happened in New Jersey. And a New Jersey Shore toll collector says having a premonition may have saved her life. Jessica Daly usually works as a toll collector on the Garden State Parkway. How many days have you been on the Garden
They
State
still
Parkway?
have them?
Yeah, I guess
thought they were
so.
all electronic.
I thought they were all gone.
But she called out last Friday. Jessica said bad feelings kept waking her up, including a sense that she was going to be in a car accident. So she called out of work, something she says she doesn't do often. A few hours later, a garbage truck slammed into the Barnegat, 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 toll plaza,
Yeah, okay.
and into the collector's booth. That collector has been hospitalized with serious injuries.
Oh boy.
Jessica says she wept when she heard, praying for those involved, and thanking God she had that gut instinct
So
not to go
that
to work.
toll collector won't be calling her a friend anymore.
No, no, not at all.
Wow. I'm going in to get overtime.
You know what? I'm
This is
thinking
great.
maybe it's been a while since I go on the Garden State, but when you go on the Garden State, there are the tolls that are on the Parkway, but then there's the tolls at the exits. So it could be they still have toll booths
Exits,
at the exit
yeah.
for some people paying cash.
Yep.
So Barnegat is the town,
Yeah,
as I look at it.
makes sense.
I guess not a big,
It was
real big swing
Barngate.
at town.
It was Barngate, but they didn't know how to spell it.
I forgot the E.
Barney Gate.
That's all right. My son lives in Bridgeton, Maine. You think there'd be an E in that word? They purposely dropped it off to be different.
Well,
So there you go.
that's
Way back.
That's like how
Swamp
many,
Yankees.
my old story about how many people say Hopkinton,
That's right. Yeah.
and there's no G in
There's no G.
Hopkinton either in Massachusetts or Rhode Island.
Well, you gotta, just gotta be careful when you're hanging around with the monkeys, okay? Because they're not,
The
especially
group, the
chimpan-
monkeys?
No, no.
That Melissa likes?
No,
or?
no. The real furry animals.
Oh, the furry animals. Gotcha.
Especially chimpanzees. They're not nice.
Oh, they're not
They're
nice.
mean.
Be mean.
They're powerful.
San
They'll
Antonio
hurt ya.
Animal Care Services is investigating after a monkey bit an 11-year-old boy over the weekend. They say the monkey bit the boy's right ear during a family gathering on Saturday. I don't.
How do you go get the monkey?
I guess
Bring it
the
out.
monkey was a pet. And anyway, his family sought medical attention for the bite, reported it to ACS, Animal Care Services. On Monday, the monkey's previous owner was cited for the bite, having no proof of rabies vaccination, and owning a prohibited species in San Antonio. Oh, you can't own them.
Yeah.
ACS has custody of the animal and is working with state health officials and local primate experts on quarantine requirements.
Only question comes to my mind is why would you want to own one?
I don't know. Have you not seen Planet of the Apes? This is how it starts.
This is how it starts.
Taking monkeys as pets, and they,
Well, they learn. They evolve.
that's right.
That's kind of how we got here.
They're
isn't it?
gonna take over. There's a new Planet of the Apes movie coming out in May,
yeah, I saw that.
and look what
They're,
happened.
But
They,
it's-
they
but isn't
talk
it-
and the humans are mute.
I was going to say, isn't that where the apes are like the prime?
Yes, they're the
Yeah,
top.
And then
the top
the
animal.
humans are not. And then
It's
the
a
humans are
remake
starting
of
to
the
evolve.
original.
But the original was the
Planet of
other
the
way
Apes.
around, wasn't it?
No, the apes were running the planet,
Well, I know they were running the planet. Oh, because it was right. The
and
astronauts.
the
landed on
humans, the
planet.
humans
That's
were
right.
the savages, the
That's
beasts.
right. Yeah. Charlton
that's-
Heston.
That's
Yes.
the culmination of every other movie that they've made since then, which got up to the fact that they were running the show.
And I guess it's a woman that can, like a female,
Can speak.
Of course.
that can speak, and they're all, ooh, wow, ooh,
Yeah.
the one's speaking. So, but yeah, that's the whole premise of the third movie, the third one, where all the astronauts came back. Things I know, astronauts came back from space, and with a virus that only attacked dogs and cats, killed every dog and cat in the world. All right, and people wanted pets, and they started domesticating chimpanzees, which would be impossible, by the way. But anyway,
I think it's Michael Myers who would call them cheeky monkeys.
yeah, that's
cheeky
right.
monkeys.
And to get them to do little tasks and things like that, and then they rose up, and then and look what happened.
What happened?
It's nice,
Now we just have to worry about AI.
That-
That's going to happen a whole lot faster than the monkeys' evolution.
Well, if anyone starts talking about how they're going to change the makeup of the throat and the vocal cords of monkeys to make them be able to actually speak, which is part of what evolution allowed us to do, I'm not worried about it. Not
Okay.
in my lifetime.
You don't want them to speak?
No. Sign language. Do like Coco did.
Can you see him come with like a
The-
British accent?
The gorilla. The Coco, the gorilla that could do sign
Do you think
language.
he's really doing sign language? Or
Yes.
is he just
no,
mimicking?
if you watch it, he's doing sign language.
He is.
He's communicating. Absolutely. He is communicating. He was
Okay, 'cause
trained
I wondered
to
about that.
communicate.
But he only got he's only got a
The
certain
simple-
amount of words,
well,
right?
A limited vocabulary.
Yeah, it's like
I mean,
100
it might
words,
be
right?
only the equivalent of a 3 or 4 year old,
Okay.
but that limited vocabulary was accurate signing. So when he's doing mother and when
Okay.
he's doing love and when he's doing all of those things,
I have to go to the bathroom.
it's real.
Where's the bathroom, please?
Well,
I mean, it could be just, you could call it just training like you would with a dog, but
Right.
I think it's more than that because, and some of the videos you can see where he would initiate conversation.
that was
Not
the
just-
next one. Is he just following?
Not
okay,
just
if I do
respond
this,
to a command, but
Right.
actually initiating something.
and if I do this with my
Like-
fingers, I'm gonna get a snack.
Like if the person that he's encountering seems sad, and he will say,
They'll ask why.
yes, or
Wow.
you sad, just something 2-word things like
Yeah.
you sad, recognize things, and it was very interesting to watch some of those videos.
All right.
He would be communicating.
When you go against Disney, sometimes they come down with the hammer. A Disneyland annual pass holder is fighting a 1-year ban from the theme park. Andrew Rich and his wife Jen are Magic key holders, and they've had annual passes to the park since the late 1990s. The couple from Spokane, Washington got in trouble with Disney when they sold a pair of Sweethearts night tickets on eBay.
Oh,
One of their after hours events, and they sold them on eBay.
I forgot to read the small print.
Yeah. Disney's review board saw that and revoked the couple's passes for a year. Now, the man feels the consequences are, quote, wildly out of scale. It's a wildly out of scale response, unquote, nullifying a $2,000 expense for a comparatively minor infraction.
I'll bet you he used to say that to his dad when he was a teenager, too.
Now Rich is working with a nonprofit consumer advocacy organization to intervene, but so far Disney says it's not changing their decision.
No.
And they probably won't. I don't care who you go talk to. Nope. Small print says you do not sell these.
And
things.
you sold them, so small print wins.
Yep, and we got proof because you put it out on eBay. We can't say I didn't do it. So you're lucky they only took it away for a year.
Right. I'm surprised they didn't revoke it completely.
Completely would give it to somebody else.
Actually, I'm more concerned about the fact that somebody's been doing that nonsense since the 90s. That's a problem.
What, being an annual pass holder?
They need psychology counseling.
I know people that go to Disney
that's
World in
Disneyland.
Florida.
I
All
think
right, that's California.
Disneyland in California. It's a smaller park. It's probably
You still got to
just.
fly down.
It's
and
not
get
like
there.
there's 6
from
other
Spokane,
parks
yeah.
surrounding it like you have in Florida, where you can choose among
But
a
I know
wide variety of
Disney
locations.
Vacation Club members, and they go to Disney
They're
3
nuts.
or 4 times
I
a
know.
year.
Oh, I know some of them.
Yeah.
I know
That's
some
kids
of them.
that have
I'm like,
to me,
oh
that's
my God,
extreme.
the money is.
The problem is once you buy the DVC, you still got to buy the park passes.
Yeah.
Now they may be slightly discounted, I think, if you're a DVC member, but you still got to buy them.
Yeah.
So when you go down to spend your 5 days that you purchased to be on the property, you still got to go buy all the other stuff to get into the park.
The most honest person I think I've ever met was a Disney cast member who, when I was down there one time, was inquiring into the Disney Vacation Club. And they said, how many times do you come to Disney? Oh, I said, once every 3-4 years. Then they said, right, that this is not for you.
Right.
If you come 3 or 4 times a year, then we should talk.
Yeah.
Right.
That's who this club is for, he said.
Right.
I said, wow, great information. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was
No,
all-
it's
all
true.
set.
It's true. If you're the kind
I
of
didn't
person
realize
that's
it was
going to go
that.
down there, but there are those people who live closer to Disney too. Where you don't have to fly down and
Yeah.
get all that
Right.
nonsense.
My aunt lives in Tampa. I think she's got a annual pass that she
Right.
can buy as a Florida resident.
And go as many times as she wants. Okay. Well, that'll do it.
Just a funny little
Yeah.
aside at
All right.
Disney. I remember when the last time I was down there and we were watching the parade, the one of 6,000 that happen every day, and we're standing near the edge of the crowd, and the babies are there and all that stuff, and I see one of these guys dressed as a pirate standing in front of us, and you know how they put headbands on?
Yeah.
It was a necktie.
Forgot his headband that morning.
Close enough. All right. That'll do it for the Coffee and program for today. Thank you very much for listening in. Tim Draper, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And John Ward, thanks for coming
Yes, thank you, and everybody enjoy the God-given day. And I just want to remind you, we have a Charter Review Commission that's been meeting every Wednesday night, and they're coming close to wrapping up some of the deliberations to bring to the council. They're meeting tonight at 5:30 at the Woonsocket Education Center on Main Street. If you're interested in what they're talking about, you should go there. It's very interesting to listen to and engage in them in discussion. So, as
All
I
right.
said before, go out and enjoy the God-given day. It's beautiful. It's actually spring finally. We're here.
in. All right. This is Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember at 9:30 here on ON Radio?
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
There was a significant spike in anti-Semitic incidents in New England after the Hamas attack on Israel last October. In Rhode Island, there were 52